What's going on Twitch and YouTube? Welcome to episode 14 of the U.S.S. CERRITOS tutorial. I'm Zero Elite and I just want to thank you very much for tuning into today's episode. And if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. Today we have about a 26-minute video. Got quite a few things to work on today. We're going to be continuing our work of the deflector dish, and then we're going to be reworking the lower saucer detail ring of the saucer section, and then we're going to be getting some detailing in on the lower hull of the saucer. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into this thing. You can see that I'm taking off on the top side the row of half slabs and the row of white concrete directly behind that. And one of the reasons I'm doing this is because I want to be able to add in that brown ring that's always present on the next gen era ships, or at least the early ones. Maybe not like in the later years, but early on they definitely had them, and this the CERRITOS had it for sure. And when I was working on this build, when we were up to this point, I wasn't sure I was going to be able to get it on, but I think making this change now, because basically what we did is that we took off the half slabs and then the row of concrete in front of that, and then we just replaced it with half slabs. We essentially just gave us a half a block in the front right here that we're going to be able to use. So I don't think we might have too much of a problem. Might have to maybe trim down the bottom here a little bit, do the same thing down here. And see, the only thing that's going to suck about changing this specific block right here to white or from the white concrete to the blue is that you'll be able to see it from the outside, which I don't want that. So what I think I'm going to do right here is keep that as the white concrete. So if you have that on your build now and you've been following along with me, I did that on purpose. Just going to have to roll with it. I don't think it looks bad right now. Looking at it as is, without putting in any of the extra detailing, I think this should work out pretty... Excuse me. I think this should work out pretty good. So right now I'm just trying to figure out what my next move is going to be. Trying to figure out if I want to take off another row on the underside here to make it match up top. So we're essentially just going to do the same thing now that we did for the upper side. We're just taking off the row of half slabs in the front and then the row of white concrete directly behind it. And then I believe we're just going to come back and then do a row of half slabs. So now making this change, we'll have just enough room where we can add in the brown portion of the deflector dish. Frees up just a little bit more room, and I think it looks a little bit nicer now. That should work out pretty good. See, this I'm having basically the same problem down here as I am up here. More than likely, I'm probably just going to go back to what we had. But sometimes just going to throw something down, see how it looks, and either try to figure out a way to fix it or just go back to what you had before. I'm gonna have to move that back down. And you see, sometimes I'll do that. I'll go back and forth a little bit, just see how it looks. Yeah, seeing that's not gonna work. As you can see, I'm trying to figure out if I can blend it in, but the only way I'd really be able to do that is without adding several, at least a couple of layers on top of what I already have. And I don't want the belly of the lower hull to be too thick. So now this could be an option right here. Now you can see I'm just going to take off a row and maybe shave it. Only thing I don't like about it is right there it looks too scrunched in. But I'm going to let it ride for the moment. And we're going to grab some brown concrete, which, by the way, for the entirety of this build, we'll be using the brown concrete. And not going to do anything super flashy. We're just going to start in the middle. And we're going to go, we started from the cut on the left. We're just going to go all the way down to the end of the cut. And then we're going to go in one. And maybe one more. But I might curve it after this. So let's do the same thing on the other side. You can see I'm not bleeding both blocks this way. It's the easiest way to do it without creating extra blocks for yourself to place down. Maybe go in one more. I don't know if I'd go anything more than that. All right, so let's do the bottom side now. We're just literally repeating the same process that we had for the upper side. And while I'm doing this, if you're following me on Twitch, don't forget to follow me on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/C/0elite. Greatly appreciate that. And if you're catching this on my YouTube channel, don't forget to follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/0elite, where you can actually get your hands on my videos technically a day early. This video won't be coming out until Tuesday morning, but I'm actually recording this Monday night at 10 o'clock. And you can always catch my streams, typically Sundays through Thursday nights between 9 and 10 p.m. Eastern. Now see, that looks pretty good. May not have to make too many changes to it. We can maybe close in the gap just a little bit here on the sides, but we still want a little bit of the gap here in the middle. But other than that, may not have to make too many more changes to the deflector dish. All right, see what other blocks I need. Yeah, that was just pretty a simple design right there. That definitely gives you an idea of some of the things that you can do on your build, because this is definitely just one of the ways that you can do it, but there's a million and one ways that you could get the job done. This is just what worked for me. But I don't think that looks bad. I think for the scale of it, um, I think anybody would have a hard time getting more detail out of this. I said the only thing that maybe on the sides here a little bit, I could close in the gap. which I'm pretty sure that's something that I do at some point. I don't know if I do it in this video or if I come back and do it. All right. So we're actually going to be transitioning over into the next portion of the build. So we're going to be done working on the deflector dish for a little while. And now we're going to work on the um, circle detail for the lower portion of the saucer. Now, we already did this in the first couple of episodes, but I'm panning back to it because I mentioned it before that I had the upper side ring was right, but I didn't notice it until after I was already done that the lower side of the saucer, the yellow ring, and that's what we're going to be building, is actually bigger on the lower side of the hull. This is where it comes in attention to detail and paying attention to what you're doing. And I've done a couple of these ships and even I missed it. So going back now, we're just going to do it again. And you're just going to go on Google and do a search for pixel circle generator. I've already gone ahead and I've got my width and height, and I've already cut this thing in half and figured out my center. So we're going to do a 76 by 76. And now we're going to hop back over to the capture, and this isn't necessarily where I'd want to be coming back now and having to do the ring again, but we've got the benefit that we haven't put in the hull yet, so this is actually not going to be that big of a deal. So I'm just going to go to the underside here, and I'm going to start from the middle, and I'm going to start counting out. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. I think that was 38 actually. Should be 38. On the 38th one, you're going to start your circle. And it's going to be on the 38th line. And you may need to go back to your circle, but you're only, if you want to take a screenshot of it, you only need to 1/2 of that. If you think of your circle as a pie cut into 4 slices, that's essentially what we're doing here. You only need one of those slices, and you can pretty much build a whole circle by repeating that slice 4 times. So I've already got my pattern down, and now we're just rocking. I'm going to build out a little bit on the left, and I'm going to hop back over to the right and build out a little bit more and really get this thing going. While this is going, I want to take an opportunity to talk about Star Trek Discovery. I actually had a chance to catch up, and if you haven't seen the latest episode with terra firma, mute me or skip ahead because these are definitely spoilers. But I was wrong completely about who that guy was. Being the founder of Forever or something like that. It was the portal from the original series. I thought that was so cool that they, the Guardian of Forever, I think he was. But that was pretty cool. They did something like that. I like when that was one of the things I loved about Lower Decks, was that there was a lot of storylines that they picked up from either Star Trek: The Next Generation or Star Trek: The Original Series, and I thought that was really a clever way of getting people emotionally invested in the episode, and they're finally doing that with Discovery now, and I thought that was such a smart move. Um, it was a pretty good episode, and I thought it was cool how Giorgio went back in time, but I'm curious to see what they're going to do now because I know she's got the Section 31 show coming out, but how is she going to be able to do that if she's going back in time to like the 80s or whatever it was, like the 1980s. I could have sworn like that was a time frame that they said they were sending her back to. They were sending her back to the point in time when both times were still aligned. So it had to have been pretty far back. And I think they said it in the episode. I might have missed it, but I could be wrong on that. If I am, let me know in the comments section. But I think there's a couple of episodes left for this season. I hope they do some pretty cool stuff for the remainder of season 3. But they've had a couple of pretty good episodes. I think for me, my favorite episode so far was when they got the Discovery A, and then Reunification Part 3. Those were hands down my favorite. But as you can see here, I wanted to talk a little bit more about my ring here. We're almost getting to a point where we're at our middle now. And we're not going to be building out this whole circle. because we started from the front end of our saucer and we're working our way back. As soon as we get to our angled gray hull lines, you can see them there. We're not going to build any further back than that. Not for at least the yellow ring. And then once we add this new ring, we're going to come back in and we're going to get rid of the old one. But this is really going to help to bring out the detail in the ship. And this is one of the many reasons why I take a lot of screenshots. I save a lot of screenshots and I do research on these ships when I'm building them. I get a 3D model because having that attention to detail really helps to make your ship come to life, because you're only going to remember so much of that information off the top of your head. Um, but this is coming out pretty good. I'm fairly happy with how the Cerritos is turning out. Um, Before you know it, we're going to be getting to a point where we're going to be closing in the hull here. Should be fairly soon, because we're going to be starting. Actually, we're going to be kind of working on it in this episode. We're going to be doing the prep work for that for at least the lower side of the hull. And we're going to do the same thing later on in future episodes with the upper side. Basically, what I'm going to do is add in some detailing um, on the underside of the hull in today's episode before I close in the rest of it, because the last thing you want to do is be in a position where you're adding in detailing with your hull closed in the dark, because then you have to add in a whole bunch of lights, and then on top of that, you're looking up. We've got a benefit uh, right now of not having our hull in, so I can still look downwards. So it's a little bit easier to do this. So I want to take advantage of this and add in as much detailing as I can before we close the hull in. There's no rush, so you might as well, break it down shape by shape and build it out way you need to. And I just layered it out, and I looked at 3D models of the Cerritos and looked at the hull lines and different levels of, like in this case, the lower side of the saucer, and like, okay, I know that the back end where the V is right here, in the middle we're right over, um, that actually is a little bit thicker back back there, so we need to accommodate that. Excuse me. I've had a frog in my throat tonight. But anyway, we've gotten rid of our pre-existing inner ring, and now we're getting rid of our blue builder line that we used to count out. We're looking pretty good. And you can see that I'm getting rid of old build lines here. Anything past this yellow ring coming in, we don't need the line. Going back to the outside, we do. So you should have something that looks just like this. Comes out here and then goes back. When we close it in, it's going to look beautiful. Like I said, some of these lines, they don't make a heck of a lot of sense now, but when we start closing this thing in, it really will. And really, the main reason for taking these steps right now is so that we don't have to do it later. So that this way, when we close in the hull, it's literally just a matter of filling it in, and we're getting there. We're really getting there, because now we're getting to a point where where I talk about, and I've just was talking about a minute ago, the V on the lower hull. This is it right here. This is the V that I keep talking about. This piece right here. And we're going to be starting to fill that in. Because I was looking at the lower side of the Cerritos, so there's not a heck of a lot of detail in the inner parts of it here. But I think that has a little bit to do with the fact that it's on the animated series. If they ever do a live action version of this ship, I'm sure it'll have more detailing down on here. But I pretty much just wanted to stay true to what we saw in the show. So right now, we're going to be adding another line to our V. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want this to stick out a little bit. It's like I was saying when I was looking at pictures of this thing, going inward from this line, it's a little bit thicker. So Basically, what we don't want is just hull decorations. We want definition. And really showing those hull lines. So what I'm going to do now is continue going almost all the way around this, definitely on the sides, not so much on the back wall because obviously we won't be using the back wall, but anywhere where there's a gray line, we're going to be bringing that down one. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do it here, but ultimately I am. All right, so I did the left side angle. I'm going to do the right side, I think now. Well, actually, the right side of the left, I should say. And now we're going to continue on. This back part right here, there's a gray line. You should have it on your build also. You want to thicken this up as well. We actually made several of these. You can see them up there, but this is the only one that comes down to the lower hull. All right, I want to make sure we get this side also. All right, now we're on the right side of the ship, and now we have to get our outer line going, adding another row to it. And we'll be in pretty good shape here. Some of this is prep work, but still, nonetheless, is a very important part of the build. Because, like I said, once I start filling this thing in, um, it's going to make it very easy. Because we're essentially just making a guideline to go by. All right, we're looking pretty good here. We're flying through this episode. Still got about 6 minutes left, and yeah, I like where this thing is going. Still not crazy about the front end of the engines. I think that's probably the only thing on this build that I'm not completely happy with. But it's definitely coming out pretty good. I'm thinking I'm going to be adding a gray block right there just to keep that line intact. Because right now I'm just trying to envision when I start closing this in how this is all going to play out. Because when we do fill this in, this ring right here, we won't be deleting it. We'll just be filling in all the blocks here and going right up to it. And that curve will be there, and there won't be anything that we could do about it. If we had the half slabs in that gray color, we can change it, and you'd notice the curve, but you wouldn't notice the blocks out of place. But since we don't have those, but it's necessary in the build, I'm going to leave them there. Yeah, so I'm going to go along this line here because I know that after this row, it's going to transition upwards. So that's why I'm making a lip right here, and I'm doing this with you, so this way you know to do the same thing. All right, so we have that lip going along right there. So now we know where our hull line stops before it transitions up. We got to do the same thing on this side. All right, that looks pretty good. Yeah, because basically everything within going forward within this ring right here, and then within this V is going to be filled in within the same level of that row that we just added. I do need to come back and along right here, add a row of gray blocks right behind there, because that line, like I said, that ring of half slabs with the full slabs right behind it, that's going to stay there. So I've gone ahead and I filled this in off camera so you can see exactly what I mean now, where I've filled in everything within this V. I've got along this row that we just added here, and then I went along the gray ring right here. And now I'm going to fill in this part right here. You can see our circle right here is still intact. I was slightly wrong when I did this part right here. The half slabs just right here in the center, and it's going to be the same thing for both the left side and the right side. I had to get rid of the half slabs because when I filled in the gray, there was just no room for it. They didn't look good actually. So I'm going to be filling in some of the last bits of this, and then that's going to wrap up this episode. You can see I literally just went along the cut line for the back wall here, which is the main reason why I'm wanting to show this, so you can see how I have the back side set up here. I'm literally just going along with the cut. Then everything within this box that I'm essentially creating, we're just going to fill all this in. Everything within here, we're just going to fill all this in. So I'm trying, I think I've done a pretty decent job at explaining this. For whatever reason, if you get stuck, let me know in the comments section. I'll see what I can do to help you out. But I don't foresee anybody having any issues with this. And with me doing the tutorial this way, not filling all this in real time, that's going to save a heck of a lot of time during this tutorial series. And that's actually something that I'm thankful for. I wish I had done that on the Discovery Enterprise, but I was hell bent to show that I was going to build, excuse me, that I was going to build it in real time. All right, I think we got just enough time to fill in this side here. But we are definitely rocking. We're getting quite a bit of this ship done. We're getting to a point where now we're starting to fill in our hull. You can see how I wireframed out this portion of the lower hull here. We're going to do the same thing for some more sections of the upper hull when we close it in. And believe it or not, it may be hard to believe this, but pretty much the detail for our lower side of our saucer has actually been completed. Doesn't feel like it, does it? But we've already done it. Between filling in this part right here and then adding in this ring, I mean, there's really nothing else that we're going to have to do to it other than just fill it in. So we're definitely looking really good. Really liking the progress that we've made here. And the reason I'm adding blocks here is I want this transition line to try to line up a little bit more. Because right here is actually where the shuttle bays go. And I don't know if I showed that screenshot yet, but I will. And when we build out the shuttle bays, I promise I'll show it. I do want to make a shout out to Star Trek Trek Yards. I had a brain fart there. Sorry about that. But Trek Yards had that information, and I truly appreciate it. I found it on their YouTube channel. Definitely check them out. Without it, I would not have necessarily known what to do, at least as far as the shuttle bay goes. Because from watching the show, I think I just missed it. And I couldn't quite figure out where they were, and I was lucky enough to get a very, very clear screenshot of them. But this will be cool because this ship is going to have two shuttle bays. And obviously, they're not going to be super big, but they'll be big enough so we can definitely do something with them. You can see, you can get a nice hint off the gray line here going at an angle on the right side here and then the left side of here how much room we're going to have to play with, because I'll probably have walls on each of those sides there. Um, so it won't be a super big room, but it'll definitely be big enough to where we can do something with it. Hard to believe we've gotten this far already on the Cerritos. Before you know it, we're going to be moving on to the Enterprise D, because that is definitely coming as one of the main reasons why I've built the Cerritos. Other than the fact that I've had a ton of people ask me for it, and believe it or not, I've had a ton of people ask me for the Enterprise D. But uh, combining all that together, the Cerritos was really a precursor to build Enterprise D. So many of the shapes are similar to it, between the side lines on the saucer and then the deflector dish. It was a great test run to build something like that. And I'm really looking forward to it. But anyway, I think that's going to wrap us up today. We've gotten a lot done. Still have a ton of work to do on this build, but got some more videos coming out this week. I don't know if I'm going to have a video out on. I don't think I'm going to have a video out on Christmas Day this week, but every other day, um, other than Christmas Day and Friday, I won't have a video out either, of course, than the weekend. But then next week we'll pick up our regular schedule. Um, Also, I know I haven't had Starship Evo builds up in the last 2 weeks. The reason is I'm waiting to get a controller for my PC, and I should have one this week. And I'll definitely be back doing new builds on Starship Evo next week. I'm going to continue on with my U.S.S. Revengeance tutorial and get that thing going, and build some other really cool things on there. But anyway, um, I just want to thank you again for tuning into today's video. And if you did enjoy this content, please help me out and hit that like and subscribe button. I can't thank you enough for that. And if you're new to my channel, please be sure to follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/ZeroElite, where you can always catch my new Twitch streams Sundays through Thursdays between 9 and 10 p.m. Eastern. And as far as my content, my new Starship Evo builds will release on YouTube on Mondays, and then Minecraft drops Tuesdays through Fridays. Those videos come out at 10 a.m. And you can follow me at youtube.com/c/ZeroElite. And I would greatly appreciate that. If you're on my YouTube channel and you have questions, I get them all the time. Please check out my stream where you can catch me live, and I'd be more than happy to answer questions while I'm doing these videos and also doing live builds. So that's something you definitely want to check out. And if you have any questions regarding this build, drop a comment below, see what I can do to help you out. Or if there's any other new builds you would like to see me build either on my YouTube channel or on Twitch, let me know in the comments section. I'd definitely love to hear from you. Anyway, I just want to thank everybody again. Hope everyone has a happy and safe week, and I'll catch you on the next episode.